More Seeds of Hope, Stories for Lent. Today's story seed is In the Middle. From the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verse 18. There they crucified him, and with him 2 others, one on either side, with Jesus in the middle. Listen to today's story seed. The mother looked at her son. A breathing tube was down his throat. The beeps and buzzes of the equipment rang out in the hospital room. Her sobs were muffled by her hands over her mouth as she prayed for her beautiful baby boy, laying helpless in this bed, hanging by a thread of life. He was one of 3 people shot that day. They were destined to become a statistic that would never find justice. She had done everything she could to keep him safe. She made sure he went to school, did his homework, had something to eat, but she couldn't keep him safe. More than one gang wanted him. If I don't join, they're gonna come gunning for me, he said. Don't you do it, she told him. You have managed this long. You're about to finish high school. God's watching over you. God may be watching over me, but they're after me. Ma, every day they told me they ain't playing no games. She had closed her eyes during that conversation. She saw images of the past that couldn't be repeated. She said, you're not ending up like your father and your uncles. You're not selling drugs. You're not going to prison. You're not going to die from bullets. Mama, he said, it will be a miracle if I make it to my next birthday. Son, Jesus is in the business of miracles, and I'm praying hard for you. That was 4 days ago. As she thought about this, she burst into tears, and her cries filled the hospital hallway. His best friend came into the room. His eyes were bloodshot. He was biting his lip to keep it together. At that moment, her son opened his eyes. He recognized the 2 of them, his mother and his best friend. Glancing from one to another, he seemed to be pleading that they be there for each other, knowing that he wouldn't be able to stay. His eyes went blank. His spirit slipped away. He was one of 797 that year in the city of Chicago. Jesus died for our sins. We are saved. Everything is fine, right? Clearly, everything is not fine. Our world is filled with pain. When we imagine the pain of Mary and the beloved disciple seeing Jesus hanging on the cross about to die, is that any worse than when mothers see their kids shot on our streets? Let's not make a list of the pain in the world, all the pain that is in our city streets. Yet let's acknowledge that Jesus didn't die alone. He was in the middle. Does anyone really deserve to be crucified? Were there mothers and fathers who were weeping that their boy was being crucified next to Jesus? How had things gone so wrong? Jesus tells one of those hanging next to him that they will be together in paradise. He also unites Mary and the beloved disciple. Perhaps he unites all of us. On this day of sadness, let us remember that it is not only Jesus who has suffered, is suffering, and will suffer. Jesus is in the middle of it all. His body, his blood. We are witnesses. We must remember to love others as he has loved us. That includes the 797 who were murdered in Chicago last year, and countless others around the world. Now let's take 30 seconds to water the seed. What is your heart telling you today?